The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA's heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
Ready to buy a car, a home, or just want to take control of your money? Your FICO score matters, and 90% of top lenders use it to make decisions. Check your FICO score for free today without hurting your credit score. Visit myfico.com/free or download the MyFICO app today. MyFICO gives you the score lenders use most, plus credit reports and real-time alerts to help keep you on top of your credit. Visit myfico.com/free and take the mystery out of your FICO score.
Everyone deserves to feel safe at home, yet a home fire is reported every 96 seconds, and only 1 in 4 families have practiced a fire escape plan. Kidda, a trusted leader in fire safety for more than 100 years, offers a free digital fire drill simulator that uses augmented reality for an immersive fire safety education experience, available in both English and Spanish. All you need is a phone or tablet and an internet connection to access Kidda's Prepare Plan practice tool. Visit cause4alarm.org and try it today.
Doesn't matter if you're an Indian or if you're a Warhawk.
The Earlin mention is the greatest.
This is the Bleav in the Warhawks podcast, powered by WarhawkReport.com.
With hosts Dusty Thibodeaux and Chase Region. More important than baseball. Sorry, Ford. Oh, what on earth did I just walk into?
I think I'm doing this right, but he's yelling at me, so I'm not. And so,
What are these guys always talking about?
We talk a lot about food on this podcast, and I'm going to continue to do so.
So was that actually y'all's idea? That's awesome.
Nailed the introduction, by the way. Awesome.
Thanks,
I love
bitch.
it.
Big weekend for Warhawks baseball this upcoming weekend as they travel to Lafayette, Louisiana to face the Raging Cajuns. The Cajuns ranked in the top 25, but they struggled dearly headed to San Marcos for that final trip against Texas State. The voice of the Cajuns, Jay Walker, joins us. Jay, how goes? And man, how bad was Slam Marcus?
Well, it's our last trip over there, and there are a lot of things I'll miss about it. Most of it has to do with food, and of course a couple of folks over there as well. But I'm not going to miss going to the Bobcat Ballpark. I'm just not going to miss it at all. It was a tough weekend, and honestly, Dusty, I think the Cajuns didn't recover from Friday. Friday night, believe it or not, in that ballpark, you're nothing going into the 8th inning, and you scratch and you find a way to get a run, and then you get 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th, and then you mess around, you load the bases, and a guy unloads them with a grand slam, and you lose 4-1. It was a heartbreaking loss for the Cajuns, and I think that it had a carryover the rest of the weekend. And not only with the Cajuns, but I'll tell you, when you get those guys fueled up in that ballpark, they're awfully tough to stop. They hit 12 home runs in the 3-game series, including 8 today.
When you look at it, though, this league, top to bottom, I feel like it's Coastal Carolina, and then quite honestly, everybody else. Is this log jam in the middle of the Sun Belt Conference what we can expect all the way through the season, or do you think it's still kind of early and we could see the team still kind of jockeying for some position down the stretch?
I think there's a good chance that the better teams are going to wind up getting on a roll. Coastal's off to a great start. But they're off to a great start. They had to come from behind every time to beat App State, and then they beat an honestly not very good James Madison team, and they run ruled them 3 games in a row. There's a lot of baseball to be played. One of the things that we've learned the first 2 weeks is that it's hard to win on the road. Arkansas State took two out of 3 from Southern Miss, and then they lose 2 out of 3 at Georgia State. You had South Alabama loses 2 out of 3 in Lafayette, and then they win 2 out of 3 in Mobile against a much improved ULM squad. And I think the team that is able to go on the road and win are the ones who are going to be sitting at the top of the league when the end of the season rolls around. I really think that's going to be the case. If you can win on the road, you're going to have a shot in this league because everybody's going to be good at home.
Looking at the stats this year already for the Cajuns, there's only two guys batting over 300 there, Lee Amadi and Colt Brown. Is this team that just struggles to put the bat on the ball, or is this a more timely team that's able to get those hits when they need it?
Well, if here's what Matt Deggs likes. He likes to find a way to get people on base, and then he tries to spin the game out of control with the running game and the bunting game. This team has not shown that they can hit with an awful lot of power, and I'm not just talking about home runs. I mean, I think they've got 3 triples as a team, so this isn't the Cajuns' best offensive club by any stretch of the imagination. But one thing they do have, although the scores didn't show it this weekend, is they've got 3 very good starters on the weekend. And those 3 guys, if they're not in San Marcos, are going to, they'll keep the Cajuns in every game. And then you got a guy in the back end, Cody Brash, who honestly, the times that I've seen him lately, it looks like he could get out professional hitters. He's pitched extremely well. And, when you can bring a guy in that's got a wipeout slider and also throws 98, that can help cover up some sins. And the sins mostly for the Cajuns have been, they've had some holes in the lineup that they haven't been able to figure out. And they just haven't been really, really consistent at the plate so far.
When the Warhawks come to town this upcoming weekend, what are some things that are maybe the keys to the game for ULM to try to sneak out even that kind of coveted 1 out of the 3 games, or even get the 2 out of 1, or somehow even get the sweep?
Well, I think one of the things that we've seen from ULM so far is they can really swing the bat. Now, they're not playing in a ballpark this weekend that's conducive to that. I think, you've been to Russo Park. It is probably the biggest pitcher's park in the entire league. And so I'm going to be interested to see how ULM does in that ballpark against, again, 3 very good starters. Sawyer Pruitt, the freshman on Friday, is 6'7", and he had Texas State tied up in knots. He threw 7 shutout innings. Andrew Herman gave up a couple of gopher balls yesterday, which hurt, but he's the only guy in Division I that has 2 complete 9-inning games to his credit. And J.R. Tillett on Sunday is in his 2nd year. He's a sinker ball guy, and his pitch didn't sink today, and he wound up giving up 6 bombs in 3 innings, which is something you're probably never going to see again from him. So I think for ULM, their key is to try to get to Cajun starters early, because I think the underbelly of the Cajun pitching staff is a relatively thin bullpen. And so ULM's task is going to be to try to get rid of the starters. But it's kind of easier said than done, because the previous weekend against South Alabama, the starters went 6 1/3, 9 and 7. And that is what they've been doing at Russo Park this year.
Can you read too much into the whole ULM swept Texas State? Texas State swept the Cajuns. ULM fell 1-2 to the Jags. The Cajuns got a 2-1 win over the South. Do you read anything into kind of that quick little round robin type of atmosphere?
Yeah, and I'll go back to what I said. It's hard to win on the road. Texas State goes up there and ULM punches them in the mouth 3 times. But then they go on the road this week and they can't solve South Alabama. South Alabama couldn't solve the Cajuns, but the Cajuns didn't play very well in San Marcos. Again, you're 2 weeks into 10 weeks of conference baseball. So it's really, really easy to make mistakes in analyzing because we're so early into this. So no, I don't put a whole lot into it. I just think that from week to week, and I'll go back to what I said, if you can win on the road, you're going to have a shot. And that's been true the first 2 weeks. James Madison swept Georgia Southern in Harrisonburg, and then they got run ruled 3 times at Coastal. So I just think that you've got to be able to go on the road and win. And I haven't seen so far teams that have been good enough to do that. Even Southern Miss dropped 2 out of 3 at Arkansas State. Now I'm here to tell you, I think Arkansas State's legit. But this weekend, the Cajuns and Warhawks will get after each other. I still think the key for ULM, if they want to come in and win a game or win the series, is they got to get rid of the starting pitchers. If they let the starting pitchers go into the 7th inning, it could be a long weekend for them, because I do think the Cajuns are going to be able to score some against ULM's pitching. So we'll see. But I do think the key for ULM is they've got to get rid of the starter, because the 3 starters the Cajuns are going to throw out there are pretty good.
I wouldn't be remiss without throwing in some football talk there, Jay. The schedule's dropped. We know that Louisiana Tech is playing a 20-game schedule. What are your thoughts there on the Bulldogs coming in? And do you think it's kind of settled, and this is maybe a repeat of the whole Old Dominion Marshall fiasco whenever they came in and kind of the same thing happened?
You know what? Originally, I did feel that way. I've got a little bit different vibe this time because at the end of the day, Conference USA didn't fight a whole lot the last time around. They were getting pilfered by everybody, and they were making contingency plans to kind of reshape their league. But they're fighting and fighting and fighting this time around. And Dusty, from where you come from, and I know from where I come from, that traditionally Louisiana Tech hasn't always been the best conference mate. And I honestly think that Conference USA, that part of this might be personal for them this time around. I thought it was going to be like it was last time. I'm not so sure. I'm not 100% positive that Louisiana Tech is going to play in the Sun Belt this fall. And that's a switch over what I felt like maybe 3-4 weeks ago.
I think it happens just more so out of the respect and knowing how kind of conservative that Commissioner Keith Gill is, that he wouldn't have the Sun Belt release a schedule if there wasn't at least that 99.9% chance. And that still gives you that little bit of wiggle room, but that 99.9% chance that Louisiana Tech was going to be settled and in the Sun Belt Conference this year.
And that's a very good point. Again, I'm trying to go back and compare it to what happened the last time when, once again, both conferences released a schedule that had those teams on it. All I can say is we'll see. I'm not as confident this time around as I was last time, but that's not to say it's not going to happen. I mean, I hope it happens in the Sun Belt's favor, because I don't want them to have to reissue a schedule, and I don't want all of the schools in this league that have Louisiana Tech on their schedule to suddenly, be scrambling trying to find another opponent. So I certainly hope it works out for the Sun Belt. I don't know that I'm quite as confident as you are about it.
The Cajuns got kind of that oddball money game, though. Week 2 this year, they travel out west to USC to play in the Louisiana Memorial Coliseum. Yeah, the LA Memorial Coliseum, a historic place and venue. How did that game kind of come about for the Cajuns?
Honestly, I'm not real sure. I didn't get into a whole lot of conversation about the details concerning it. I do know that it was decided upon. I think it's been almost 2 years that we've known. And at the same time, USC, because of the situation with the Big Ten and everything else, and this business of you everybody wants you to play all your non-conference games early in the Big Ten and then play each other. They kept asking to delay the release of the fact that the two teams were going to play. So this thing got put together, I think, kind of well before this announcement was made. I think it's been a couple of years now, but, I just know that I've watched Brian Maggard put together football schedules, and I've seen him pull some things like the Cajuns were scheduled to play at Louisiana Tech non-conference this year. So he worked a couple of things out, and the Cajuns are going to play Charlotte, and that came out not that long ago. And when they had a situation, with New Mexico State leaving or joining Conference USA and not being an independent, they had to wind up figuring out a game there, and they were able to, Dr. Maggard was able to get Old Dominion and Buffalo involved and managed to pull that off. So all I know is the guy's pretty good at putting together a schedule, and he's got some good contacts. I'm not 100% sure how this game on the West Coast happened. I am not happy that the Dodgers are out of town that weekend. I'm not happy about that at all.
I do have another team there in Los Angeles, Jay. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but you know what? That team's out of town too.
Oh, no baseball for you.
No baseball for Jay.
Well, Jay, I thank you as always for taking some time out to talk. Looking forward. All indications are I will be in your neck of the woods for this series this upcoming weekend. So always look forward to seeing you and seeing what kind of trouble we can get into in person.
Well, you know what? Getting into trouble in Lafayette with you is something that's definitely on my bucket list. So come on, man, come on down, and we'll see what we can get done. But I'll look forward to seeing you seriously, and thanks for having me on.
The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA is heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
Most home fire and carbon monoxide fatalities are preventable with the right safety products, including smoke and carbon monoxide alarms that can alert you when a hazard has been detected. Teach kids that when they hear beeps that last, they need to get out fast. Join Kidda in highlighting the importance of fire and carbon monoxide safety preparedness in homes across the country so our families, and especially our children, can always feel safe. To learn more, get involved, and help us spread the word about the importance of fire and carbon monoxide readiness. Visit causeforalarm.org.
Deadlines move, plans change, and sometimes opportunities pop up out of nowhere. When you need branded gear fast, 4imprint is ready to deliver. 4imprint offers hundreds of promotional products in their 24-hour category. Everything from custom apparel, bags, and drinkware to writing tools, trade show staples, and high-tech gear. At 4imprint, it's not just about speed. It's about doing it right. Your logo is printed with precision. Your order is packed with care, and it all ships out fast. And with their 360-degree guarantee, you can be confident it'll show up right on time, just the way you planned it. That's the certainty of 4imprint. So if you're prepping for a last-minute event or jumping on a big opportunity, you don't have to settle or scramble. With 4imprint, you get fast, reliable service and peace of mind built right in. Check out their full 24-hour selection at 4imprint.com.
4imprint, for certain.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
It's so weird. This app shows that my credit score's pretty good, but I couldn't get the car loan.
Are you using myfico.com?
No, it's some other company.
Oh, you should get a MyFICO account instead. FICO scores are the ones used by 90% of lenders, and other credit scores can vary up to 100 points.
That would have been helpful yesterday.
Get the scores lenders use. Get the right FICO credit score for your credit goal, including your FICO scores used for mortgages, auto loans, and credit cards. Visit myfico.com or download the MyFICO app to get started today.